What is going on, everyone? Israel back again with another review. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the MLB draft. It's honestly pretty close. It's coming up in about 2 weeks time, and since the MLB combine is pretty much done, obviously we just had the end of the College World Series. Congratulations to LSU for winning that one. But yeah, now it's draft time. We're only 2 weeks away, and there's been a lot of mock drafts. I also want to go over which teams get what pick, everything like that. So we're going to start off with the draft order. So you guys obviously know we had the whole MLB draft lottery situation, which is pretty surprising. Throughout, I think the Rockies moved up the most or something like that. I'm not really sure how I kind of forgot how it went, but there was one team that moved up like a ton of spots that I remember. But here's pretty much the first round. Pittsburgh has the first pick. Obviously they didn't perform well last year. I think the Nationals were the worst team last year, so they kind of get the second spot, which is kind of unfortunate. And then we go from there. I think the Rangers and Pittsburgh are a really good position right now, especially the Reds too. So we'll see what happens. The first round, we only have 28 picks because the Dodgers and the Mets are over the luxury tax, so they do not get first round picks for being over that luxury tax. That's kind of the cost you play with going over that luxury tax. So that's kind of the MLB salary cap in a sense. So as we go down, this is a new thing, which I don't think has been talked about that much. It's called the Prospect Promotion Incentive Picks. So pretty much how this works, as it says, if a player who is rated as a preseason top 100 prospect by MLB Pipeline, Baseball America, or ESPN, at least 2 of the 3 of these sources, and was on his opening day team, goes on to win the Rookie of the Year award, they are given a pick after the first round. So I think this is the first one we've seen. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez winning that Rookie of the Year. So they have the 29th pick for Seattle, and they're the 30th pick with the competitive balance round A. So interesting kind of prospect promotion. I actually like this. I think it's a cool idea since you can't trade draft picks or anything like that. So you can't really move your spot. So I think it's a really cool. So Seattle has 3 picks in the first 30 picks of the draft. So it's actually pretty good. They pretty much have 3 first round picks. So it's actually pretty insane overall. Like I said, that's why the Dodgers and the Mets are in the competitive balance round. The Mets' first pick dropped down 10 slots because they exceeded the competitive balance by 40 million. And then same thing for the Dodgers. So that's kind of how that works. The competitive balance rounds are pretty much determined by the smallest market teams, and they get an extra pick because they can't, go out and sign these huge free agents. That's kind of how it works. So these are your picks. Obviously, the Rays have been here for a while. So have the Reds in Oakland. So those are a couple teams that's been here a while. I think there's some new ones. I think the Tigers and Miami are maybe might be some new ones. I'm not totally sure. And then we get into the second round. And then there's more forfeits like we had Angels, Blue Jays, Cardinals, Cubs, Padres, Phillies, Rangers, and Yankees forfeit their second round picks as a result of failing to qualify free agents. So qualifying free agents, pretty much if you think someone's going to leave, you can qualify them, and if they sign somewhere else, you get a draft pick. If you don't, you lose your draft pick. So that's pretty much how the second round works. And then we go through the next competitive balance round of the 10 small market teams. Then we have the compensation picks throughout free agency. So they get the Cubs get a compensation pick because of Wilson Contreras being to the Cardinals, Carlos Rondon to the Yankees, and then Dansby Swanson to the Cubs. And then we go into the third round. The Rangers once again forfeit their third round pick for failing to qualify a free agent. And then we have another competitive balance pick right here. And then the fourth round is pretty much normal. More competitive balance picks as we get down. And then you just keep going from there, and these are the remaining rounds. So after round 5, everyone has the normal, seed of record. So that's kind of how they work. So pretty interesting overall if you guys don't know how it works. It's a lot that goes into it, especially in these competitive picks and where they're ranked on the free agent quality. It gets pretty crazy for the MLB draft, but that's pretty much the order you guys got to realize when we talk about the mock draft and all the players that could get drafted and could get signed. All right, so let's talk about this mock draft and what the experts think is going to happen. So Paul Skeens from LSU obviously pitched incredible for this team to win the national championship, and he's definitely going to get picked. They have him as number 1. It depends what the Pirates want. We're going to talk about Dylan Cruz, his teammate, that is currently supposed to be number 2 right here for the Nationals. I think these guys go probably 1 and 2. I just don't know what the Pirates want, the pitcher, or they're going to want the outfielder. It just depends on what they're looking for, I think, in my opinion. And if I'm the Pirates, I'd probably go for Dylan Cruz. I think Skeens is definitely a good pitcher, but considering their pitching in the past with Garrett Cole, guys like that, and James Talon, I just don't think their pitching route would be kind of the best. So I'd personally pick up Dylan Cruz if I were the Pirates. Then the Nats have Dylan Cruz. I think the Nats would be good with the pitcher because they developed good pitching talent like Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg. Besides the injuries, when he actually played, he's been a pretty good player. So I think they should probably switch that. if I'm going to be honest, in my personal opinion. But Dylan Cruz definitely one of those guys. He was always bad lead off. He always had hits for this squad. So definitely a decent player that you can get for the Nats or for any team he goes. I definitely think these guys go 1-2 though, 100%. Then we scroll down, then we have Watt Lanford, obviously outfielder from Florida, played in the College World Series, unfortunately lost. He was another really good player. I mean, you can see his stats, OPS right here, absolutely insane. And he was definitely their guy for Florida, definitely their best player in my opinion. So interesting to see where he falls in the draft. It'd be interesting to see what the Tigers do. And obviously going to trickle down between who gets what pick. We've obviously seen the Pirates had some shocking moves last year with the whole Henry Davis pick, where they got their catcher, which a lot of people didn't really expect that one. So it could be interesting to see what they do. I think he's definitely going to get drafted, though. All these guys in this first round are probably going to get drafted as we keep going. Now, Max Clark for the Rangers, I think just makes perfect sense. The #1 high school prospect, and he's definitely the guys. If you watch any of his videos, he's definitely a 5-tool athlete, as they say. So it would be especially good for the Rangers since they're winning right now and they wouldn't need him for a couple years. And he's an outfielder, which works out in their system. So it would be interesting to see that as well. Now, Walter Jenkins, outfielder from high school in North Carolina. As you can see, his stats over here, obviously this is the scouting thing, 0 to 60. They've rated him as a 60 overall, which is actually really good. They rate him 60 on most stats. I'm not really sure, but they compared him to a lot of college athletes. Definitely going to go in the draft. I just don't know where he's going to fall. My personal opinion, I don't really like taking high school talent over, actually big league or like college talent, just because it takes so much longer for these guys to develop, in my opinion. But he could be a good pickup for them. We'll see. I think Jacob Wilson's a great pick, in my personal opinion. It'd be interesting to see if he does go to the Oakland Athletics. Obviously, the A's are in a major rebuild, trying to get their Vegas stadium ready, and then obviously get a good team in Vegas. So his dad did play in the MLB for a little bit, played for a couple teams. So it'd be interesting to see if his son is able to do the same. Then we keep going the Reds. This catcher seems really good from Virginia right here. Kyle Teal. Be interesting to see if the Reds actually do pick him. I do like Stephenson as their catcher. So the Royals, another right-handed pitcher out of Portland, at a high school. Interesting. I mean, they obviously did this, recently. We obviously had the Connecticut kid that I almost got to play against, so that was pretty interesting. Get drafted. So yeah, crazy stuff. The Royals have done this before, so I wouldn't be surprised if they've done this again. But we'll see what this kid has potential. I mean, he's 6'5", 185 pounds. I mean, that's a pretty impressive stat right there. Obviously, the Rockies, I think it makes sense for the Rockies to take pitching since they have to overpay for it. And Wake Forest, I mean, he played in a good team. They were pretty much the #1 team all season. So that does make sense. The Marlins seem like they're going to take a high school shortstop. Or this guy, I don't know too much about him. The MLB Combine, I watched a little bit of it, but they have a ton of stats to display behind the scenes for these guys, so would not surprise me at all. The Angels, what do we got? Jacob Gonzalez, shortstop out of Mississippi. Interesting the run that school had this year, with all the struggles they have. But it is weird to think they would take another shortstop just with Zach Neto being their kind of main franchise shortstop, I would say. And as we scroll down, you're going to see a ton of other names from a ton of other schools. That we've seen some high schoolers in here as well. But the guys that are going to get picked are going to get picked. We'll be talking, breakdowning all of this when the draft actually happens. We have a lot of guys coming from multiple different parts of the country. So it will be interesting to see, especially these high school draft picks. They obviously go to the MLB Combine. They obviously play for Team USA maybe at their level. So it is pretty interesting. That's how a lot of these teams can understand who they're going to get or anything like that. And then obviously the mocks are just, what the experts are currently thinking right now. But no one really knows, who they're going to take and everything unless you got a really inside source on a couple of these teams. So we kind of go through a couple of the guys that could definitely get picked for a couple of their squads. So it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of the top colleges will probably get picked. And maybe there's, a couple other schools that we might see in here as we go through this draft class. But it'll be very interesting to watch. The draft is the first round at least is on July 9th. So very interesting to see. It should be on, MLB Network or something like that. Not sure the time yet, but should be very exciting to watch. The draft is always a very exciting time for the organizations and players. Because a couple of these organizations are definitely struggling right now. And it'd be exciting for the players to see who they get drafted by. But hope you guys enjoyed this video on the draft so far. It's going to be pretty interesting. A lot are going to go down. It's obviously, not insane as other sports with the trading picks and everything. But, You know, the new pick system, I think, with these complimentary picks and these prospect picks will be very interesting to see that and kind of change up the draft strategy. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone.